Our guest today on our podcast is a multifaceted personality from Bollywood. He's been there and done it all. He's explored the entire gamut of creativity, from being a publicity designer to an assistant director, from an assistant director to a film director, from a film director to an author. He is just unstoppable. We welcome Soham Shah for a stimulating conversation on all things Bollywood. Welcome, Soham Shah.
Thank you.
It
Thank
is
you
a
so
pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, Rashesh.
And let me begin by asking you that you come from a family of doctors. Your parents are doctors. Your brother is a very popular diabetologist, practices here in Bombay, Dr. Tejas Shah. Where does this creative expression in you come from? And where did you get this creative gene from?
So, as we say that, it all comes from the genes. So, my mom being a doctor,
Mhm.
but still, like till date, she definitely had an artist in her. So,
Mhm.
she was a very good painter. She is a very good artist. She's a good poet.
Mhm.
She writes, poems and stuff. So, I
Mhm.
think that creativity definitely has imbibed from her.
Right,
Uh, at the same time, there's always a black sheep in the family.
right.
So Tare Zameen Par came many years later when everybody realized there is something called dyslexia. So I'm sure I must have had dyslexia in childhood. So I was a bad student.
Uh-huh.
And that is how I never could have even thought of getting into medical or, some
Mhm.
profession like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's how I kind of, decided to pursue my creative genes and creativity.
Lovely. Do you think that your education in JJ's School of Arts somewhere refined the inherent creativity that you had? You spoke about the maternal
Yeah.
gene that you inherited. Did JJ's school contribute towards it?
100% because I feel that whatever I may have done
Mhm.
as a creative person in my life,
Mhm.
it's completely for those because of those 5 years in JJ School of Arts.
Okay.
Because in JJ in 5 years they kind of actually cover every aspect of design.
Mhm.
Now everything that you approach, whether I make a film today, whether I design a poster, whether I do an ad film, everything has the base of art.
Right.
So like I don't know about other directors, but what definitely helps me
Mhm.
is that when I deal with an art director for a set design, being an artist, I exactly know what I want in the set. And then I can, before the art director can also apply his mind, I will be able to provide him with my vision much better than a non-artistic director.
Right.
Because I'll know that these are the color schemes that I want. I
Right.
know this is the kind of setup I want. This is like I've educated myself into warm tones, cool tones, many things which a normal person may not go through because that's art.
Soham, how did your film journey begin? And I was going through your career graph, and you started your career as a publicity designer, and from a publicity designer, you went on to direct one of the biggest multi-starrer movie. We would want to know how this entire thing unfolded.
Yeah. So see, supposing like most of my like colleagues, I would say, or my friends who were with me in college, their careers maybe started like after JJ. Most of them would kind of take up a job in an advertising agency. So they would do a job which kind of it takes at least like 5 years to grow from a certain level to a certain level, from a creative head to a creative director, and so on and so forth. Luckily, by the time I passed out of JJ, I was already doing a lot of freelance work. So I never had to take up a job. And somewhere the film buff was there in me. I was very I would like to use the word filmy because every Friday, no matter what, I had to go to watch a film with the entire family. And film was something like, I don't know why, but it felt like this is where I want to be. Now,
Okay.
obviously, I never knew what I would like to do in the films. And usually the earliest attraction for everybody would be like an actor zone because nobody knows anything besides the actor on screen.
Correct. So, sorry, you always had this inclination towards Bollywood?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So since my college, so that's what I'm saying, that the difference between me and any other commercial artist who passed out, say in my batch, would be that they all diverted toward advertising. Whereas when I would travel to VT station every day back and forth, I used to really feel disappointed that why are the filmy posters so tacky? Because that time Photoshop wasn't there.
Okay.
And manual publicity used to be designed, which I obviously didn't have the knowledge. But I used to see, like, those movies, like whether it was Kayamat Se Kayamat Tak, Batwara, or Aag Ke Sholay, Aag Babule, whatever the movies used to come, the posters used to be very tacky. Because, suddenly Sunny Deol's face is coming here, Amrish Puri's face is popping out here. There was no design. It was very, very jarring. Right. That is why the look of the films used to feel like C-grade films. They used to look like typical Bollywood pot boilers. So I kept questioning that why isn't this side of advertising becoming better? So I was attracted that, somebody should do better designs, Of course, I was a student, I was growing. But yes, that time, the two brothers like Himanshu Nanda, Rahul Nanda, they came into the game of advertising for movies. And I think they were the ones who pioneered this art. They started doing special photo shoots for movies. They started designing on, computers. So the designing started becoming better. If you remember the era of Hum Aapke Hai Kaun,
correct,
Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. So these films started giving good publicity. So that was something I was attracted to. So my initial push was towards getting into advertising for movies. That's how I came into, I cracked my way into movies.
Lovely. Yeah. And from publicity design to being an assistant director.
Yeah.
And being an assistant director, assisting one of the biggest directors of the country. How did that transition happen?
So, sometimes I think it... that the time is such that, whatever you wish for, things just happen. So it was one magical phase because, see, I had already designed more than 30 film publicities. So having said that, I had done photo shoots as a say publicity designer or a photo shoot director with Sanjay Dutt, with Salman Khan, with so many actors. They were the top actors even then. And I had done 30 movies, which I had got all the experience, and I worked with the so-called tackiest directors to the best directors. So I had seen the ABC of filmmaking because I was interacting with directors every day. So they were very filmy directors who wanted, like, their language would be that, my film is Masi, I want to cater it to Punjab and UP and, Bihar and all. So their taste of posters was that. At the same time, I was working with Sajid Nadiadwala. I was working with Sunny Deol on Dil Lagi. I was working with Firoz Nadiadwala on Kartoos. So depending on the producer or a director, the poster qualities also that I would churn out would change because the director was directing me with his taste. So I got that entire gamut of Bollywood. And at one point, I was putting in too many hours of work. I was putting in like 20 hours of work. And then one day, and I was 23, 24. So I said that maybe 5 years from now, I think every household may have Photoshop. Every household may have these softwares. So, this career may not be long lasting. It will fade out because like today, AI has come. That time Photoshop had come. So I knew that at one point, every kid on the phone might be designing or using AI or Photoshop. So that was a transformation phase, but I was making good money. It was an established business at that point. But as we say in our industry that you're at the right point at the right time. So I happened to be in one filmy party and I had a very dear friend Komal Nahata. And KS Sanjay, they were like my first Bollywood friends. And they obviously knew about the work I'm doing. But I don't know, we were just chatting and Komal Nahata asked me that, so Soham, what next? What are you working on? Are you planning to expand your business into something more? So I, in fact, just said that, listen, I actually want to assist a director. And I don't know I did not have concrete plans. I just said it because maybe that was an urge. And I just chatted. I said, I would like to assist a director and learn filmmaking. So he said, oh, really? He got very excited and he said, oh, and jokingly asked me who would be the directors who you'd like to work with. So I said, I love Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, had just released. And Yash Raj films, everybody loved. And Ram Gopal Verma was my favorite director. And he was making Satya and Company and all. So I said, one of these three directors. And, touchwood, next day, I get a call from Komal saying that, Soham, where are you? And I said, I'm just heading to office. He said, no, don't go to office. Just reach Mahalakshmi. And I've spoken to Karan and I fixed up a meeting for you. So go and meet him.
Amazing.
So this was like, unbelievable timing, luck, thanks to Komal. And that's how I met Karan. And I displayed my work. And obviously, he also said that when you have such a established business, why would you want to leave all this and become an assistant director? So I said, no, I think I want to give it a shot. And I will close down my entire business if I get to work with you. So he said, my next film, we didn't know it was Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham. I didn't know. He didn't reveal it to me. He said, I'm going to make a big film, but you'll have to wait for 1 year. I said, I don't have a problem. And what I did was I started, I stopped taking new movies and I closed down that business. I finished my pending assignments in that 1 year. And then I started assisting him on Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham. And obviously there was a huge salary cut from the kind of money I was making. And I started with like 3,000 a month, but I never regretted it.
Lovely. So there is a lesson here for all aspiring directors. If you aspire to be a film director, you have to put everything at stake. Someone like a Soham Shah, who had an established publicity design business, thought of pursuing film direction, and in the bargain, he completely stopped what he was doing, and then he starts his journey. Brilliant. So how was your experience working with Karan Johar?
See, Dharma Production, even today or even then, was obviously one of the best and topmost production houses. So I think I got my schooling with absolutely the best institute, like how J.J. School of Arts was like the best institute for like art. I couldn't have asked for a better institute than Karan Johar or Dharma Productions because, see, they absolutely were the new age producers, new age filmmakers. So they structurized the entire filmmaking process, which was actually usually not structurized. And when I say that, it means that before Yash Raj, Karan Johar coming after Kuch Kuch Hota Hai or Suraj Barjatya after Maine Pyar Kiya, these filmmakers came with a Hollywood style of working. Whether it was in office, whether it was applying pre-production, shooting, post-production, everything was like following the Hollywood style, which was very organized.
So what you're saying is everything was structured, systematized, and there was an element of corporatization also
definitely
brought in by them.
So before these filmmakers, there was a parallel industry which were shooting movies. Of course, the directors were genius. Of course, the storytellers were amazing, but bound scripts were not there at some point.
Can you please explain what are bound scripts?
Yeah. So basically, see, let's put it this way that 70s, 80s and late 80s till early 90s, filmmakers, a director would work with a team of writers. But the system was like maybe, if they're shooting and on the day of the shooting, the dialogues are being written. So the actors are also not given the, scenes or the dialogues beforehand. Okay. Lot of story or lot of dhacha of the screenplay. I'll come to the technicalities, but the entire storyline of what film they are making, that would be more verbally in the director's mind, or the writers, they would write with a pen and, they would have the sheets written on pen, and in consultation with the director, they would keep on, coming up with new, improvising every single day. But then, that was the way maybe Hindi movies were being made that time. And then suddenly a creative bug would come and they might change the climax suddenly. So the original thought might have been something, but they get a little charged up seeing the location and maybe the climax. Or last Friday, some other action movie released, and then they would say that let's do our climax also like that film so that it works better. So what I mean is these were maybe the unorganized way of working.
Yeah.
But Dharma Productions, Karan Johar's style of working, everything was very, very systematic, that there would be a bound script. When I say a bound script means there is a story and then there's a screenplay. A story is about me and you sitting and chatting, doing a podcast.
Okay.
And then the electricity goes off or the mics conk off or whatever this might the story be. But then the screenplay is about where are they sitting?
Okay. Okay.
Where is Rashesh sitting?
This is
Where
very
is
interesting.
Soham sitting?
Yeah.
What kind of clothes are they wearing? Are they sitting opposite each other? Is it day? Is it night? Is it afternoon? Is it raining outside? These things kind of, start developing into a screenplay, which are like the detailed, what you see on screen, how the story plays on the screen is screenplay. So what I mean is that there's a structure to an entire script.
Right.
And obviously then dialogues. So each character, how that character is going to, if he's a Bhojpuri character, then his dialect may be different. If it's a Gujarati character, his dialect may be different. So what kind of, audience the film is made for.
Right.
So bound script started developing where everything was crystal clear before one starts shooting on paper. Like a 120 or 150 page script started developing with this generation of filmmakers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that was a fantastic journey.
And this is also very helpful for actors, typically actors who are methodical actors, who want to prepare, who want to rehearse and then come on sets.
Definitely. But I would say that somewhere the art of actors or the actors that we've had, somewhere there is some kind of genius streak in them, and they, whether there is a bound script for them or not, of course it helps. But it helps in other issues. Like actor would just anyways perform very well. You've seen the legends of the actors, Govinda to Sanjay Dutt to everyone. So even in that era when bound scripts were not that there, they have delivered. So the actors have delivered always. But where it has helped is that supposing there's a multi-starrer film, and if you don't have a script, then you've had it. Because then if verbally, say you have two big actors working in your film, and you've narrated the script to a certain actor, you've promised him that your role is going to be this, and the other actor has been given a certain brief that this is your kind of channel of acting or your character. A bound script makes it easy that it's on paper, so that tomorrow on set you don't have a problem. That I had given you the script, you knew what has been written for you, and that is what we are going to make. So a bound script gives in a lot of system. It brings in a lot of discipline.
Right.
It's very tough to imagine that when these scripts were not there, how did people manage such big films? How did they manage egos?
Right. Right.
Because then on set, an actor may demand that, okay, if this guy is saying this line, then you need to give me a better line, otherwise I will not shoot.
Right.
So, there's been so much happening in the cinema since that time till today that it's only obviously became more and more organized.
Yeah. So what you were seeing is that Dharma Production, Yash Raj, Rajshri, which is Suraj Barjatia, these guys were responsible in introducing these systems and making this the business of filmmaking more professional, more systematized. So yeah, you were talking about your experiences with Karan Johar.
Yeah. So let me tell you, when we are talking about how structurized or what things go into it, I'll tell you a very nice incident. Say Karan Johar read the script of Kaal, okay? And at that point when he greenlit the script, so he loved it because it was different and it was set in a different way. It was a thriller. No film had been made on tigers, wildlife and whatever. That script went to his father, Yash Johar. And when Yash Johar read it, he was a strict man, but a very warm man. And obviously his experience in production was like phenomenal. Nobody had that kind of experience. So he called me to his cabin and he actually he kind of gave the script back to me. He said that you youngsters, you think you all will just write anything that comes to your mind and you want to walk in and make movies.
Sorry, here you're talking about your first directorial
Yes.
venture.
Yes. Kaal.
Kaal. And it was a multi-starrer movie.
Yeah.
Which was produced by Karan Johar, Dharma Productions. So this happened after your stint with Karan Johar as an assistant director.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah. So creatively, the director has approved my script, Karan Johar, that yes, this film should be made and I would like to produce it. But when it went to his father, he put a challenge in front of me. He said that, do you even have an idea that what you've written is not possible? I said, sir, why do you think so? So he's like, in 1952, Devanand Saab wanted to shoot, Sunil Dutt Saab wanted to shoot in Corbett Park, and they never got the permission. He said that I will only make this film if you go to Corbett Park and you get me the permission. And he said, I have not signed you. So you cannot use Dharma Productions name. I can make one phone call and I can, pull the strings.
Secure the permissions.
He said, I want you to go and get me the permission. If you get the permission, I'll make the film. So it was a very big challenge, which I didn't know that this is a huge challenge. I went to Corbett Park with one of my assistants. I stayed there for 7-8 days. And 7 to 8 days without influence or without any big backing, I could not meet the right people who would give me the permission to shoot in Corbett Park. And Corbett Park, even today, is the most it's like a heritage. It's like a gold mine for India because it's an amazing jungle where tourist is not even allowed to step down from your jeep.
Yeah, it is a protected zone.
Yeah. So in 20 years back also to get permissions for that film was impossible. 7 to 8 days expenses are mounting. My hotel bills are increasing and I don't have that kind of infrastructure. And I couldn't meet the right people, the DFO of forest or the politicians, nobody. I would have left the next day. But luckily the 7th day, I somehow got 5 minutes to meet the forest officer, the main DFO. And I requested him that his, he had gone attending to some elephants and for some reason his name also was Mr. Hathi.
Okay.
So I said, sir, I would want to make this film, but it's a reputed production who will support me. Big stars may come in, but please, I want to make this film.
Okay.
He said, you leave the script, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I said, a forest officer who's so busy, he's not even going to read my script. I don't think I'll get a permission, but we had to wait. We extended a day. When I go back, he was busy in the core areas or something. He got delayed. I had to wait till 4 in the evening. When he came back, he said that abhi electricity gaya hua hai. आप आधा घंटा बैठो, प्रिंट आउट वगैरह निकल रहा है. So I was like, अभी तो स्क्रिप्ट का प्रिंट आउट निकल रहा है. So when will he read? And then in half an hour, he comes with an envelope and he said that, Soham, I've read your script. And I'm proud that a young person like you is actually thinking of wildlife.
Wow.
And this film has a message to conserve forest and save the tigers. He said, I've given you all the permissions to go ahead. So that's how I got the permission. I came back and Yash Ji, when he saw that, he said that now I know that you will pull off the entire film. He said, I wanted to test you that without a production help, if you can get the permission at this level, are you capable? He said, Karan has to decide whether you are capable of making this film.
Right.
But I have to decide whether without me, are you capable of making this film?
Yeah.
So I think these kind of schoolings and these kind of,
Learnings.
opportunities, these are not negative challenges. These are positive opportunities, which one kind of needs to appreciate.
Brilliant. So your experience as a director, because the kind of movie that you made, your first movie, is in contrast to Karan Johar movies. And the very fact that you assisted Karan Johar. Karan Johar is, known for his rom-coms and he makes very soft family movies. So how was your experience? What did you learn from Karan Johar as a director?
So see, I think it's a very interesting question that sometimes it's very important what not to do and what can you do. So for example, when I assisted on K3G for 2 years.
Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham.
Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham for 2 years. So Nikhil Advani was my associate director. Okay, after Karan, it was Nikhil. And I owe a lot to Nikhil Advani because I was like, right hand to Nikhil then. And I got to learn a lot technically from Nikhil because that whole experience was like 2 years. But so working on Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham with Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, Hrithik Roshan, and 3 other, Kajol, Kareena Kapoor, Jaya Bachchan, like who gets to work on a film like this?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was like working on 4 films together in one film.
And with these stalwarts.
100%.
Yeah.
So I obviously, from music sittings to how lyrics are written to the entire shooting, post-production, I can't express what all I obviously got to learn. It was unbelievable journey. But the last day of shooting, when I was sitting and it was a song shooting going on, and it was the last day of shoot, and I just asked myself that day that what film will I make? I want to learn the core of filmmaking.
Okay.
That what if I don't get these facilities? Then how do I make a film? And that's where I decided that I want to learn filmmaking from Ram Gopal Verma, who was making Satya.
Okay.
Who was making Bhoot or like smaller films which did fantastic creative things.
Yeah.
And that's how I wanted to kind of, decide and do one more experience with a director like Ram Gopal Verma.
So hold on, for the, benefit of our viewers, you assisted Karan Johar for Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, and then you thought of assisting Ram Gopal Verma as an assistant director.
Yes.
And then Kaal happened.
Yes.
Now this is very interesting.
Yeah.
So from Karan Johar, from Dharma Productions, you moved to Ram Gopal Verma Productions. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you assisted Ram Gopal Verma in Satya.
No, on Bhoot.
On Bhoot.
Yes.
Oh, that's where this fascination for supernatural, thrillers that you've directed and now you've written, which I'm going to discuss as an author, comes from.
Yes.
Okay.
So I went to Ramuji and I said, he wasn't taking me seriously. He said, yeah, come on the set and be here. Why do you want to assist? I had to convince him that I have already done one entire film with Karan Johar and now I want to work with you. So again, he was gracious enough to say, okay, come on my next film, which is Bhoot. And of course, horror was always my favorite genre. And I got to work on Bhoot. But the contrast between a Dharma production and a contrast between Ram Gopal Verma was like chalk and cheese. Here, there is a bound script. In Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, in Bhoot, there is no bound script.
Okay.
Here, there are like big actors, no doubt superstars. But here also, there was Ajay Devgan, Urmila, Nana Patekar.
Yeah.
But here, these actors are given narrations well in advance. Scripts are given, as you said. All those, things are taken care of. And on Bhoot, the actors are not given a full narration. So there is a lot of difference between the filmmaking and the approach towards filmmaking.
Yeah.
So I got 2 very different experiences. That how a film is made in crores of rupees and how a film is made in a very, very low budget.
Okay.
So that's exactly what I wanted to experience. Also, Karan Johar obviously has always been a great writer and emotional and the craft is more towards family, emotions and stuff like that. And Ram Gopal Verma was completely a technical genius.
Right.
So that is where that is the area as a technician that I wanted to kind of pick up.
So you got exposed to the best of both the worlds.
Definitely.
As a director, it is very important to have that technical niche and, to have that technical know-how.
Definitely.
And as a director, it is very important for a director to also feel the emotional pulse of the audience because that is how you will connect emotionally with the audience. So brilliant. So then you assisted Ram Gopal Verma on Bhoot.
Yes.
And then how did Kaal happen?
One day I switched off from my advertising work. Here I switched off. I just went kind of, took a break for 3, 4, 6 months that I'm only going to write now for my own film.
Okay.
So see, these are kind of decisions which are kind of path breaking or like they change your entire graph. I might invest 1 year in writing a script that I think I'm going to make. But what if it doesn't get made? So you can never think of what if it doesn't get made. You'll have to take.
There is a learning here. So the learning is for any creatively inclined individual, he has to learn to take uncertainty in his stride. And also, there is no structured life for a creatively inclined individual. Soham Shah was assisting Karan Johar. From Karan Johar, he moves to Ram Gopal Verma. And from Ram Gopal Verma, he decides to write his own movie. These decisions are not easy. Yeah, yeah. So then you decided to write your own movie.
Yes.
And you wrote a script.
So there's a interesting story there also. So I happened to see a cousin of mine. I was in US.
Mhm.
I thought I'll go to US for 2 months and start writing my script. I need to just take a break from Bollywood and stuff like that. Only then I'll be able to concentrate.
Yeah.
So I went there and I started writing a story. And after 2 days, my cousin asked me that, "What story are you writing?" I said, "I'm writing a horror film." So he said, "Why don't you watch this one film, which has I just saw this film. It's not, people don't really know about this film, but it's amazing." So I went with the thought process that I was going to write. I get diverted. I see that film. That film was called Final Destination.
Okay.
It was an outstanding film. And I got very influenced. And that entire trip, I started writing Final Destination,
Okay.
the version of Final Destination in Hindi,
Okay.
but with my own vision, own character, stuff like that. I went back to Karan and Karan Johar asked me that, what are you up to and all. I said, I've written a script which I'd like to kind of, direct and all. So he said, I want to read it. And I said, no, this is not at all your genre. You will hate it. You will think I've written some rubbish. And so on and so forth. It's like, he read the script. Surprisingly, he really liked it. And he said, let's go ahead with this. Now, the journey begins here that he said, whom do we want to cast? And of course, it was a young, cool character. So I said, Vivek Oberoi is a dear friend of mine. So he said, it's always better to work with friends first. So why don't you ask Vivek? So I went to Vivek Oberoi for that film.
Okay.
Vivek was a huge star with Satya and all company and everything. He was a big star. So Vivek loved the script. Now Vivek said yes for the film. We signed him for the film also. Karan Johar signed him for the film. And then Vivek put in a doubt in our minds. Okay. Vivek said that, listen, the script is amazing. My dates are there. We can make this movie. But Soham, there is another director duo, like Abbas Mastan of those times. They were like huge. They are still very big. Abbas Mastan are also making a film on the same film, Final Destination. So think about it. I went back to Karan Johar. I said, listen, there's a problem. We've signed him. There are the dates. Now, this is what he's saying. What do we want to do? So Karan said, I don't care who's making what. I love your script. We are going ahead with it. You decide if you don't want to make it. So he threw the ball in my court. Now, I had Karan Johar supporting me. I had Vivek Oberoi, a big star, also coming into the film. But I started questioning myself that I wouldn't want my first film to be a film which comes, but maybe somebody else is also making the same thought. And I thought that I wasn't comfortable. My instinct said that I don't want to start my career with a remake now. Suddenly I got put off with this thought. And I said, no, listen, let me take some more time and get back. So we had Vivek Oberoi on hold. And Karan said, what are you going to do now? I said, I have something in my mind. I may take 2 months, I may take 6 months, but I want to write something. So he said, no problem. Now I take another 6 months, 8 months and rewrite my entire film, which becomes like a original draft. And I come back with Kaal. I think that's where the journey started, which we discussed of Yash Ji.
Yeah.
And that's how Kaal started. I think somewhere we all appreciated that, we did a genuine job. We did a real, original film altogether. And I think because of that, till today, it's appreciated.
There is a learning here also for all aspiring directors. You need to be extremely patient with yourself and you need to trust yourself and trust the process. Yeah. So this also goes to show the kind of conviction that you had in yourself, right? Because you write a script and then instinctively you decide that no, this will not be your first directorial venture, again go back to the drawing boards and you again start rewriting the script.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So I think, Rashesh, the reason that today not many films are doing well. Today, not people are just not really wanting to go to the theaters. All these reasons culminate to one thing, that the producers, the visionaries, the directors, the storytellers that we had 10 years back, and recently the entire, after the corporates came in, the structure that changed into making movies, that is entirely the reason that now there is no conviction. And without conviction, we are indefinitely a huge problem, because this industry, since the time cinema started, it has to and has only worked on conviction.
Right.
Because no director, no producer, no actor knows what's going to work on a Friday. One can only put in is the right intention and conviction.
Right. So this is very interesting. But we would still want to know that what is the basic difference between an individual producer who would, pull in his own money at a very high interest rate in the past, and a new day modern producer who is backed by a corporate. How has the economics of filmmaking changed from your perspective?
With corporates, the entire channel changed. So the main thing was that how would the corporates seep into the industry, or how would they have a strong foothold? So unfortunately, they took a different route of buying out people. They came with multinational money. They came with big money, and they started buying out people. What I mean buying out means that they did not look at stories. They sometimes did not look at the directors or the scripts. They took a different challenge that film industry mein actor hoga to film ban jayegi. So they somewhere started paying 3 rupees to an actor who should have been given his say industry cost was 1 rupee. They started paying that actor 3 rupees.
Right.
So the inflation started. The power started transferring to the bigger stars, because then they started dictating which director they would want to work with, which script they would want to work with. At the same time, a lot of money started getting pumped into. So a normal producer who was hiring an actor for rupee 1, suddenly that actor started asking 3 rupees from that same producer. So that producer started feeling that this is not economically viable.
Right.
So he started getting out of the race.
Right.
And that's how the corporate started inflating the budgets.
Right.
And with the inflation, everything starts inflating.
Correct.
The hairstylist who was getting 5,000 a day started getting 30,000 a day, because it's a corporate money. How does it care? The budget started inflating. So a film that was being made in 10 crores suddenly started coming on paper at a budget of 50 crores.
Correct.
So when a 10 crore film was the perfect calculation that even if this film does 12 crores or 20 crores, it will become a hit. Because of the corporate mathematics, the load started coming on the movie. That the movie has to rake in now 50 or 100 crores to make it a hit. So even if a good film does good numbers, it's not enough.
Right.
So these are the changes that started coming in, and they, they've been here now. We are dealing with these problems even today. So this is the basic difference between. Also, the biggest thing is that earlier there was one director or a writer and one mind who's going to put in those amount of money. His vision that, yes, I want to make this film with so and so people, with this actor, with director, and this team of 3-4 people would go and make that film, and they used to become hits or flops. If they become a flop, still there was a minimum calculation that itna recovery to aa gaya hai, so let's make another one.
Correct.
Let's
there was
make
always
another
a
one.
buffer. Yeah.
Now, with corporates and the inflation, first of all, the people who are taking decisions are not somewhere the hardcore filmy people who understand this business.
Yeah.
Who understand the era from Raj Kapoor to Amitabh Bachchan to the entire progression of 50 years. You need to be a certain kind of a filmy to understand the pulse somewhere.
Correct.
okay, of the changing times or everything. The people who are now running the game may have been corporates from different industries. They've not seen cinema which existed 10 years back.
Right.
They've maybe only seen more of Hollywood.
Right.
They are seeing foreign cinema.
Yeah.
They're taking decisions on lot of things which are not connecting with the massy audience.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of thought process which is starting from Bandra, ending at Kolaba. And that's maybe because of which the films are not reaching the masses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is where, to contrast to that, South cinema, okay, whether it's Kannada, Tamil, Malayalam, Telugu, they did not succumb or give in to the monies thrown by the corporates, and they did not get bought out.
Okay.
That is why they are still making films completely on their own conviction. You see Kantara, smallest budget film making 400 crores, to a Bahubali, which is anyways from the best of the director.
Yeah.
But everything's existing and everything's doing well, and still the stardom is there.
Yeah.
Still, when a Yash comes in with KGF, a new guy becomes like a god of cinema.
Yeah.
Still, there is Venkatesh or Chiranjeevi sir, or everybody's existing.
Kamala Hassan.
The 70 age group actors are also still ruling, and the newer generation is also coming and becoming superstars.
Right.
Why is that not happening with Hindi movies?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think there's lots to kind of, think about, but there's definitely there's lots.
So corporatization has certainly compromised creativity in Bollywood.
I would say so.
And also you raised a very important point. You spoke about everything being inflated. So, this brings me to my next question. And I would also want to know your experience in Kaal, that with everything in filmmaking being, inflated by the corporates, the star egos were also inflated. As you said, because the actors became very powerful. There was a time when producers ruled the roost. After the entry of corporates, and, they started giving this obnoxious, abnormal kind of monies to the actors, the economics has changed, and that has led to quite a few problems. But we would want to know, how was your experience, making a multi-star cast movie, considering that was your first movie and you were working with such big stars and managing their egos?
Yeah.
And if you could just, share an anecdotal experience with our audience, which will even make it more interesting.
So see, Kaal would be a different experience. Luck would be a different experience. Right now, I'm kind of working on a film with very good actors, Shreyas Talpade and Vijay Raj. So they're also tantrums or ego. We'll talk about it. They come in a different format in every film or with every actor.
Yeah.
Luckily, obviously, because my first film was produced by Karan Johar, I did not have any kind of major ego problems or tantrums from any of the actors.
Okay.
It a lot depends on the production, on the producer, how an actor is treated. There are two ways that a ego or a tantrum can come in. One is on the production side, or one is on a direction side. So direction side means from the point of view of a director, his conduct, as we said, bound script, what is committed, and if things are changed on set, many things lead to, misunderstandings or why an actor would give you a tantrum. No actor is mad. No actor or no star comes with a, mental default to harass you. There has to be some reason to it.
Yeah.
So that is why assisting on a film for a director or assisting many films for a director is very important, so that you understand how this industry works.
Right.
There is a certain age group of actors, a certain body of work. You have, like, the way you will respect an Ajay Devgan sir, or you will respect a Vivek Oberoi, who's a newer kid at that point. But the system should be like, you should know how to address people well. That is where ego comes. You can't disrespect an actor by his first name. Simple. I've seen directors, or I've seen people who call Sanjay Dutt or Ajay Devgan as bro. You can't do that. That is where, obviously, what do you expect? A legendary actor who's done 50 movies, 60 movies, 200 movies, and you address him as bro. will give you stress, right? Because obviously that actor will know that, listen, this new kid is over smart and he's trying to be like too pally with me, but there is something like respect you give. So I think it lot depends on your schooling, on your education, or like I worked with Karan Johar. It's all about that. How to conduct people. It's direction is more of a management job.
Correct.
How you handle people. Many times it happens that I want a certain actor to come on board. So I might have given him some false promises. And I may have given some false promises to the other actor so that he comes on board. But if those two stories are different, which I had promised, and on set they realize that, boss, मेरे को जो सुनाया था वो कुछ और था और अभी तो वो shoot नहीं कर रहा है. This is where tantrums can come in. This is where egos can come in.
Yeah.
Now, these are very like subjective. They don't come just anytime, anywhere. They come with experiences or with certain people.
Yeah.
Also, it may stem out from, usually they come from production problems.
Right.
Like a producer is trying to save money. You know, vanity vans are not given right. To save 2,000 rupees, you give a tacky vanity van, which is very smelly and dirty. Because a certain actor is not of a certain stardom, you try to, from the production side, they keep cut on corners, try to cut corners.
Yeah.
So then that actor knows that if I want to shoot with this production for 40 days, I need to, show them my stature. And that's where he'll come with that baggage.
As a first-time director, share your experiences when you are directing a Shah Rukh Khan on sets. How is that entire feeling?
See, first of all, there are some fantastic actors. There are some stars, and then there are superstars.
Right.
So nobody has got that tag without a reason. There is something extraordinary about them that makes them that caliber.
Okay.
So like, see, I can vouch that anybody who's worked with Shah Rukh Khan for all these years, the conduct that person comes with is phenomenal. He obviously...
Sorry, what you're saying is that he's very well behaved, right? And his code of conduct is correct.
See, most of these superstars, they work on their instinct. Okay, they have a very strong instinct about the people they are working with. So they already know that, they are comfortable in a certain atmosphere. That's why they've come to do that work. Now, the thing is that they have some kind of a gift, that they are fantastic actors, and they just trust a director or the producer with whom they are going ahead with. And they are the people who least interfere in any kind of creative. They don't disrupt the creative process because they trust the entire team that they are kind of surrendering to. So I think he's one of the most amazing celebrities that I've worked with. I'll give you a small example.
Yeah.
That entire Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, we were like 7 to 8 assistants. By the end of the schedule, say Shah Rukh Khan sir had gifted like all the 8 ADs a personalized gift, which was, he had kind of studied or, understood that character for 2 years in the making of the film. That says Soham is a creative guy. So he gifted me certain kind of books, which were photography and design related books.
Wow.
Somebody was into costumes. So that person was gifted some kind of costumes, which were, it's a different level of interaction.
Yes.
That is why he's Shah Rukh Khan.
Right. And you're also saying that these stars, most of the big stars, like Shah Rukh Khan or Ajay Devgan, these actors are non-interfering.
Yeah.
And they will trust the director.
Yes.
When it comes to acting. Brilliant. What do you think is the reason for Animal's success?
So see, first of all, I think we have to congratulate Sandeep Reddy Vanga for the kind of success that he got with Animal. If you kind of, see Kabir Singh also, if you see Animal also, there is a certain level of conviction, as I mentioned earlier also, that unless you do something path-breaking, it is not going to shock the audience. At the same time, it is not intentional that he wants to shock you. That's the language of filmmaking that he wants to come up with.
Okay.
So I would say that he's made a great film and it's been so contemporary. The reason of so much noise or so much like discussion on Animal is because that some kind of content takes time to settle in. Some kind of content uh, takes time for acceptance. But the younger audience, I know audiences who have seen back to back like Animal 3 times in the movie theater.
Right.
So obviously it has connected some chord somewhere in a big way in the thought process of people's mind. I'll give you a very small example that just 4 days before the release of Animal, I had a narration with a corporate company on a gangster story.
Okay.
In that gangster story, the character of the gangster is very grey. Now, grey has many connotations, but the things that the gangster is doing is nothing like a hero or the protagonist. He's doing all the wrong things. Before the release of Animal, they asked me that, Soham, this character is very grey. You need to make it a little more positive. Otherwise, which actor will like to act in it? I said, fair enough, we'll think about it. The moment Animal released and it became a super duper hit, the same people said, they called up and said, your character after Animal, you can make it more grayer because abhi to grey chalta hai. So, this is all, this industry works Friday to Friday. Every Friday, a new concept comes up. Every Friday, people's thought process changes. They start chasing what has become hit on last Friday.
Right.
But having said that, I would say that the need of the hour today is that any film with whatever content becomes a hit, makes the kind of numbers, or when the audience likes it, one has to just move ahead because that's been good for the industry.
Right.
The industry needs hits. Whether they come in the form of Kerala story or Animal.
Correct.
We need hits.
Right.
So please celebrate and move ahead.
Absolutely.
That's how it needs to be taken.
Yeah. So that's a very positive message, that you're giving to the critics also, because there was so much of criticism, for this movie. So what you're saying is that OTT has influenced the sensibilities of people, and because our sensibilities are much more refined, because we are now exposed to a different kind of cinema, Animal was very easily accepted. Yeah.
Yes.
So this brings me to my next question. Your upcoming movie Kartam Bhugtam also has actors, and you spoke about this, you as a producer, as a director, if you are convinced and if you have the conviction, in your content, it doesn't matter whether there are actors or stars. If the content is good, the movie will certainly click. Throw some light on your upcoming movie Kartam Bhugtam.
So see, I'll tell you something very interesting, that when I made Kaal also, it was, people were making very commercial films that time. Okay. Colorful films were being made, song and dance, glamorous films. I took a very big challenge to make Kaal, which was very off. That subject was, nobody thought of wildlife, nobody thought of supernatural, nobody thought of Corbett Park. It was a risk. I had taken that risk because I wanted to tell that story. When I made Luck, I had approached one or two actors. Those actors, very close friend of mine, they said, Soham, this is very edgy. यार ये चलेगा तो सुपर हिट हो जाएगा, नहीं चलेगा तो फ्लॉप हो जाएगा. So I said, anyways, there's no other midway. And I said, if I think about a hit and a flop, you can never make a film.
Right.
You might think that you are making the biggest blockbuster, but that also can flop. So
Correct.
Who knows? One has to follow what story you want to tell, what your conviction is. So what I mean is that with my upcoming film also, Kartam Bhugtam, I've again, experimented, not experimented, but I'm giving the audience a subject which is something new. Definitely.
Okay.
I want a story that can shock you. I want a story that can give you something which you cannot predict. So coming to actors, every script or a film demands a certain level of actors. You cannot overcast a film and you cannot undercast a film. Now this script, the way it is in today's time, it is very kind of, realistic, very connective. I definitely did not want larger than life characters who could not come into my character zone. Suddenly I have a very big star doing that particular role, or a very like a senior act. Like, so for example, I've taken Vijay Ras. Now, for Vijay Ras's character, I wanted a terrific actor like Vijay Ras.
Right.
Suddenly, I have a very celebrated name. He might not look that character that I'm trying to sell you. Okay, Shreyas Talpade is a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted a actor's own film. Okay, because here again the script is a little more, what is more kind of going to speak.
Yeah.
So it's when you have talented actors, they come also with a certain mind frame. They look at the larger picture of the entire film's balance.
Right.
They don't come with an attitude that what am I doing?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Right.
So I think this film is in that zone, which is more like what today's audience wants to see. If they see something genuine in it, they will kind of, relate to it.
So till now, it was very fascinating, intriguing, interesting to know the mind of filmmaker Soham Shah. Now we would want to know the mind of the author Soham Shah. If you could, talk about your new book.
So see, exactly as in the beginning of the interview, I said I was a very bad student. So I would have never ever imagined that I would author a novel.
Okay.
I would write a novel. This was not on my cards ever. I had not thought about it. But see, I take my journey as every experience gives me something. Okay. So I've mentioned this some other places that, I got a chance to work with Sir Ruskin Bond, who's one of the most renowned authors, for a good amount of time. I was shooting exactly the way you and me are shooting this podcast.
Okay.
I spent around like 4-5 days with Ruskin sir in Missouri, and I was shooting a masterclass with him.
Okay.
So I was very fortunate to shoot him in a masterclass. I was directing him, and I was absorbing. Masterclass means from start to end, I had these questions and I had to churn out this material from him that how to write a novel.
Okay.
Now the master himself is teaching you one-on-one of how to write a novel. So something definitely clicked in those days, and it was COVID times. And he said 2 lines which remained with me. One is he said, Soham, a writer never retires. Now at the age of 89, that man is still writing with his hands. He doesn't use a laptop.
Right.
And he writes his novels. And he said a writer never retires. And one more thing he said, that a writer can never stop writing. He just mentioned 1 or 2 lines which remained with me. And I said, when I grow old, I think I should have this art of writing novels so that, I can keep writing stuff.
Right.
This is what happened with me in just like 2.5 years back. COVID, it was like COVID, the lockdowns happened. And suddenly I was at home and I was thinking of writing my script. But this time I approached that, listen, let me write it in a novel format so that I will pitch it to publishers as a novel also. And I would love to make a web series also out of it, or a film.
Okay.
But I changed my writing style. I wrote it with the schooling that I got from that masterclass, and I attempted writing this particular novel.
Okay.
And then I think it was very liberating because, one, there was no producer on my mind. There were no actors on my mind. I was writing an organic story like a novel. So that gave me a different fun of writing a novel.
Okay.
And then, of course, I kind of, got a publisher, Sohail Mathur, who's got a company called Book Bakers.
Okay.
He read it and he said, listen, before you kind of hire any other agent, I am taking the responsibility that I love this book and I'll take it forward.
Okay.
And that's how then he pitched it to a couple of publications. The first publication was Om Books International.
Okay.
And I think in a span of like around 4 months, 5 months, which is quite short time for a novel to get like a greenlit. I got a call from him and they really liked the content. And that's how I got a green light from Om Books International. And then we had a big launch recently with Anupam Kherji and Jackie Shroff sir inaugurating the book. And the book is doing really well. I think it's
brilliant.
By next month, it'll go into the bestseller.
Okay, that's so nice to hear. So the story, the subject of the book is also, it is a supernatural thriller.
Yeah.
And your fascination with supernatural thriller just doesn't end.
For some reason, I think what happens is, first of all, let me be very honest with you, that I love that genre. There's not many people who are actually venturing into that genre. I'll tell you the reason why they're not venturing also is that it is very difficult to write a horror because while you're writing, there is no background music that is going to be heard.
Right.
There are no camera angles that are going to be seen. There are no scary faces that are going to come on paper when it's in black and white. It's very difficult to sell a horror film.
Right.
It's very difficult to convince that I can scare you.
Yeah.
That genre is actually very tough. That's why people don't write or get
don't
into
attempt.
making it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what are the crutches? In a comedy script, you'll make people laugh. In a romantic film, you'll make people fall in love, or a emotional film, people will understand whether this is touching your emotions.
Yeah.
To scare somebody in this broad daylight with these lights on, how do I scare you?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
a big challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the same time, for some reason in India, this genre is not being given that kind of respect or that kind of boost. For some, it's just a mental block. कि नहीं horror नहीं चलता है. You know, horror नहीं करना है. So many female artists, so many actors that you approach. For some reason, they're like, nee, we don't want to do horror. But horror is one of the biggest genre abroad and in India also. Vikram Bhatt has done fantastic horror for entire life. Ramsey brothers have been known for horrors.
Right.
Ram Gopal Verma sir did some fantastic horror. I think there's some kind of a bias that is created, but I'm sure that if one or two horror films do well, people will understand that abhi horror chalta hai. So it's just about that time when again a horror genre is backed rightly.
Excellent. Excellent. It was unbelievably thought-provoking talking to you. I think this was a masterclass in Bollywood, and all aspiring film directors, film actors, filmmaker must watch this podcast because there are so many learnings. So your journey is very inspiring and motivating. And we will hope that the creative gene that you've inherited from your mother, keeps on making you attempt new things in creative spheres, and may you reach greater heights and make a name for yourself in all the creative pursuits of your life. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate, and God bless.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.